CoastLife, I know we've been talking about the changing of the seasons, the changing of the weather. As those temperatures drop, you may have heard Code Purple, something that we talk about a lot during the sort of winter months and into those early spring days too, when the temperature is still cold. Well, there's more to that program, and to tell us a little bit more about it is Mike Agnew with Code Purple. And you guys you've had a lot of growth over the last couple years. So first, introduce folks who may be new to our area and haven't heard of Code Purple and what you guys do.
All right, so Code Purple is a program of Love Inc. in Seaford, Delaware, and Love Inc. operates, they've had a number of programs, but one of their programs is this emergency shelter that operates in the wintertime. It's between December 1st and March 15th. And we started when Troop 7, the old Troop 7 building on Route 1, became untenable and they tore it down. We moved the shelter from the Troop 7 building to St. Jude, right there on Coastal Highway, and opened up a men's shelter in the winter of 22-23. But there was a lot of talk in the community and the Cape Gazette and so forth about a missing women's shelter. What about the women? How come we're not doing anything for the women? So that was our next task, and last year we opened a women's shelter at the Lutheran Church of Our Savior.
I mean, to give people maybe a better idea of the importance of what you guys are doing, what do some of those numbers of our shelterless neighbors looking like these days? So you're helping a lot of people.
It really is. It's a growing problem, and the awareness of it, I think, is more important than anything right now, particularly for those that live in the Lewes and Rehoboth Beach area. And of course, we have a lot of tourism coming in at that area as well. But the growth in Delaware in general last year was 9%, a 9% increase. Every year in January, the Housing Alliance of Delaware does what's called a point-in-time count, where they go out and literally count the homeless around the entire state. Before COVID, now the numbers went up during COVID, but before COVID, say 2020, until today, we're up 16%. So, you know, that where there was 4 homeless, now there's 5, right? So it's really increasing a lot, particularly in our area. Sussex County had the largest increase last year throughout the state, so we're starting to see an increase in growth.
I mean, it's an amazing mission that you guys have and ways that you're reaching the community. For folks who may need to utilize the service or people who are interested in volunteering, how do they get in touch with you in the Code Purple program?
So we have an email address. Right now, we would ask them to use that email address, and we can provide that to you.
Yes, please.
And the email address, just send your contact information, whether it's an email or a phone number, and we'll get back to you. Volunteering at the shelter is really important. Many of our guests benefit from the fact that they're able to come in out of the cold in the wintertime, but our volunteers also benefit. It's pretty amazing to see the results of that. People come in with one view of the homeless and they leave with a completely different view. But the reason I'm here today is to talk about a new program that we're offering. We're launching storage lockers for the homeless. And you might think, how does that fit into your model? But in fact, when we opened the women's shelter last year, we found that many of our guests were coming in with suitcases or bags, carrying all of their belongings with them from place to place. And it's certainly not necessary, but if you see someone walking along the highway or walking along the road, and they have a shopping cart full of things, or they have a suitcase that they're dragging, like a rollerboard you would see in the airport, walking down the sidewalk on Route 1, you pretty much would conclude that they're homeless. If they can put those belongings, important papers, mementos, documents, clothing, into a storage locker, then they become invisible. Then they become just like you and me, and they can walk freely. This is an opportunity for them to find storage that's safe and secure.
It's a huge deal.
And it's an opportunity also for new volunteers to join, because the shelter, the emergency shelter, is pretty much an evening program. Now we have a daylight program, so people that were uncomfortable about coming out in the evening or staying overnight in the shelter can now become more involved in Code Purple at the Cape during the day.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming in and sharing about Code Purple and the new programs that you have and the ways that you can volunteer and give back to the community. It's really going to make a difference in a lot of lives this winter season.
Thanks for
Very impressive.
Very good.
Well, we know that when it comes to real estate, you may have some questions, but we've got answers when CoastLife gets back.